afternoon. My name is Mariana Tackett. Welcome to our PLC. Today I have a very special presentation to you guys, that I think is going to really benefit all of us, especially here at Ballard, where we see the technology on the rise. And also especially because we are a BYOD school, bring your own device, and how that has affected our classroom, either for some in a negative way, for many in a negative way, some in a positive way. The reason I decided to do this intervention is because of my personal classroom and how I have seen it affect behavior in a negative way. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So before we get started, I want to revisit the vision statement because that's something very important that I think we need to visit every single week during our PLC. So if we could kind of go over it. My classroom is part of a diverse and inclusive school community committed to academic excellence and integrity. I will provide instruction in a caring, safe, and healthy learning environment, responsive to each student and in collaboration with families and the community to ensure their success in and out of our classrooms. So, their success. Let's revisit that. We want our students to be successful. How can they be successful if they're so preoccupied in texting their friend back or checking Snapchat or the latest post on Instagram? Okay, we've all seen it. We've all been through it, okay? So that is what we are going to look at today. So our agenda, we have any announcements that we're going to need to be made, positive recognitions, anything positive that has happened in classrooms. I need some help with, if anyone is struggling with something, we'd like to present that, to kind of go over that. Presentation, which is what I'm going to give for the cell phones, and then a share activity. What do you do in your classroom? What did you think of this presentation? How might you change it to fit your own needs in your own classroom? And then we are going to wrap it up for today. Why did this catch my attention? Well, I kind of already went over some points. This is something that I see as a problem in my classroom. And when talking to a lot of teachers here at Ballard, it seems that I am not alone. This is a major issue. And, you know, there's so many articles out there that there's benefits of using technology in the classroom. And I agree with that 100%. I love to use it. I use Quizlet for the vocab, okay, for the knowledge, for my students to have that knowledge of the vocab, for them to practice, for them to play games with their vocab, practice quizzes. We use Kahoot sometimes in class. We, as world language teachers, love Kahoot. It's a great way to review what we've done. And so all of that involves using the cell phone and using technology. So I want to go ahead and put it out there that I'm not against it. What I want to improve is the behavior. How can the students need to respect our choice. Is it a cell phone day? Is it not a cell phone day? They need to be able to follow those instructions. And so again, it's turned into this behavior management thing. So that is why I decided to do the intervention. These are a couple of articles that caught my attention, and I am going to kind of point out some quotes from there. The first one is "Schools seek balance for cell phones in class." That one is from the Boston Globe, and I will read you some quotes here in a second. The second one is "How to manage cell phones in the classroom." Okay, so again, those articles are out there. We are not alone in feeling the struggle and the stress about this. And then the last one, "By opening the door to cell phones, are schools also feeding an addiction?" So, the first quote, this one was from Boston Globe, and I'll go ahead and read it to you quickly. "It is the most vexing issue of the digital age for teachers and administrators. What to do about students' cell phones? Some maintain that smartphones and other devices in schools are crucial to being competitive in a global market." I agree. "While others insist that phones and tablets distract students, compromising their learning and focus." I also agree. Okay, and this was from Linda Matchin from the Boston Globe. Another one from Utopia.com. This is actually from an administrator that wrote this article. But as an administrator, if I walk in and see earbuds and phones out during direct instruction, I see a problem that needs to be fixed. 100%. If the teacher is instructing, should phones be out? If the teacher is trying to feed our students knowledge? Absolutely not. They're not focused. They're not attentive to what's happening. And then he also said cell phones in the classroom can be a significant discipline problem, and classroom management struggle if clear and explicit guidelines are not established other notifications, and 78% of teens check their devices hourly. These are our kids here, and so they can't just hear a buzz go off in their phone if they have it in their pocket. Even if they have it away, they have that urgency of, oh, I gotta see what it is. I gotta see you text me. I have to text back. So, some of the main problems we see before getting started, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree with me, there are no consistency from all the teachers. And especially here, and again, I'm targeting to us because this is a problem here at Ballard, but I also think that other schools could really learn a lot from this as well. And so, if you have a rule at a school and not all the teachers are following it, you have those students, well, Miss B doesn't take my phone away, or Miss G doesn't care if I have it out. Why do you care? Why do I have to turn it in? Why do I have to put it up? So not having that consistency is a big, big problem. No disciplinary actions from teachers and admin. So we have a rule here that every time you take away a child's phone, because you can't take it away, you just can't keep it overnight, but you can take it away from the class, you have to call the parent. And so I'm guilty of it. You all are guilty of it. We've talked about it in previous PLCs. When you have 35 parents you have to call by the end of the week, and it's Friday afternoon, do you really want to stay and call 35 parents to tell them your child was on their phone? I had to give them a warning. It just becomes, something that teachers are not going to follow. We have to figure out another way to fix this problem because that's not happening. No support from parents. So my mom is texting me. My mom is calling. And you know what? They have said, Ms. Hackett, look, and it says mom on the screen, and mom or dad, they're calling in the middle of class. I mean, it is 9:45 in the morning. They know their child is in class. Why are they calling them? This is unbelievable. The age of feeling independent. I'm in high school. I'm an adult. I'm almost 18. I'm 18. I can do what I want. We're going to fight that. We're high school teachers. We are going to fight that. And finally, students refusing to turn on their phones. So that resulting in a whole other area of issues. And that's something we want to avoid. So, intervention starts now. What are we going to do about it? What did I do about it? So the intervention will focus on a Spanish high school class. So all my Spanish classes, obviously this could work in all our classes, more so middle and high school. This could work in any secondary level classroom as well as middle school. And I say this because we have periods or hours. We call them periods. So first period, second period, third period, fourth period. And you'll see why later on that's important. So the intervention for this project lasts 4 weeks, and I did 4 weeks because of the time limitation. This should last about 6 weeks, which is the whole grading period, but for this, it's going to be a 4-week trial. Okay, we'll call it a trial. And again, as I said, typical intervention will last about 6 weeks, give or take, with your grading period. Okay, before I start, I already went over the parent problem because I've seen it, I believe it, it is true. They call and text their kids in the middle of class when their kid should be listening to directions, listening to their teachers, and learning. And so before I start this, I want to go ahead and let you all know, and I think this is very important, I did send out an email to my parents via Infinite Campus. Tell my parents it? Probably not. But I wanted to go ahead and put that in there because I made that choice to email them to inform them. I'm asking them for help. I'm asking them for guidance, okay? For their support. And so I did ask them, I explained the cell phone policy to them, which, as I said, they cannot be on their phones unless it's for instruction, unless they are at lunch. They can be on their phones at lunch, and if it is an emergency, they can ask the teacher to go to the office to make an important call. We're not saying you cannot, talk to your parents at all, but there are steps and measures that you need to take. There are regulations. And so I sent them the cell phone policy and asked them not to text or call their child during school hours. And if they needed to be contacted, they had to do it through the main office, which is the rule. This way that my mom and dad or my grandma's texting me, whoever's texting me would time. And so, we're an hour-to-hour instruction kind of school. And so our admin wants to see us working from the minute they walk in to the minute they walk out. And so there was nothing really to take away from them. So I decided to make this a positive intervention because my students love to be rewarded. They love to be given things. Who doesn't? So rewards can be original. So some ideas include homework passes, extra credit passes, free classes with popcorn and movie. And so that's what I decided. You personally know your students and what they like and don't like. And you get to know them, right? You form relationships with them. And so that's why I chose the movie day, popcorn and soft drink day, because my kids love food. High schoolers they're always hungry. They're always snacking on something. And so popcorn is something, again, that I would have to provide, but that's not super expensive, that I could afford and bring to one of my classes that won this reward. Okay, so for my classes, I chose a free day, like I said, which includes movie, popcorn, and soft drinks. And it's the students in my 1st through 7th period will have a weekly race to see which can stay off their phones throughout the duration of the 4 weeks. So this was a whole point system, okay? How many times do I have to tell you stay off your phone? Those times I have to tell students, points get deducted from them, and I'll explain better on here. And so this is super important, and this is why I kind of highlighted it in red. I keep a locked box on my desk, and I always have. I use it specifically for quizzes and tests, and so I give them the opportunity to turn them in if they are going to feel tempted to get their phone out, because if they're on a quiz or test and their phone is out, it's an automatic 0 because it's considered cheating. I think that's fair. And so I have this locked box. It's just something I got at Staples. And so the students can choose to put their phones in there, and I just lock it. And then the last 3 minutes of class, I unlock it and hand it back to them. And so it has worked great for quizzes and tests, but we don't have quizzes and tests every day. So I do have that, and I told them that they could use it. If they came into class and they said, Ms. Tackett, I'm going to be tempted today. I want to turn in my phone for the day. Absolutely. I'm giving them that extra tool, that preventative tool to, not get any points deducted. Okay? I want them to succeed. I'm trying to help them to succeed, as all teachers want to see their students do. Okay, so the incentive is to have as many points per week at the end of the 6 weeks. Remember, for our sake, it's 4 weeks. The class with the most points at the end will win the popcorn party. So 6 weeks, it's 5 points per day to equal a total of 150 points for your 6 weeks, right? And every time I have to tell a student to put their phone away, I deduct a point. If the student refuses to turn it in, I will take away all 5 points for the day. And I know we had discussion of holding our classes accountable. Now, there's been talk of how sometimes it's not fair to punish one student for the whole class's actions. And I agree. And I agree in the sense of taking things away from them. For example, if you had a field trip planned and one of the students has been acting out, I don't think it's fair to take away the whole field trip because of negative behavior. But because this is a positive intervention and I'm not taking anything away, I'm giving them something. And this is what I explain to my students too. I think it's fair to say that as a class, we are a team. I like to call each of my classes, we are a team. We help each other out. If one of us is struggling, we lift each other up. So we hold each other accountable. And it works because, again, I did. You see the students kind of, all right, Johnny, come on, turn in your phone if you think you're going to be on it today. And so kind of that positive reinforcement, and I'd love to see that. I'd love to see my students kind of work as a team. And so, again, it did kind of help that they were all held accountable of each other. All right, so prior to starting, again, time limitation was a problem. I did 1 week, and I did not tell them I was going to start this intervention. I did 1 week, and I did the intervention in my head. So every time during those 5 days, Monday through Friday, every time I had to tell a student to put their phone away, I last half of class. So you can only imagine how that works out. And that's not something I can pick. That's something that the administration, they give us our lunch. And so by the time you get the kids finally going and started and on this pace, it's like they're off to lunch and they're get back and, they're on a whole other level. And so I think that did play a huge role, and it was a huge factor in the numbers. And then 7th period, 14. So points that were deducted, meaning the amount of times I had to tell the students to get off of their phones. Okay, so that week is over, and I introduced this whole intervention to my students. They're excited about it. Oh yeah, food, like I said, and I knew that would be their reaction. Oh, we get food, yes, okay, we can do this. So the first week went super well, very, very great results. And I will say that lunchbox was used more than it's ever been used in my whole teaching career. And so first period, actually all the students turned in their phone for first, second, and some of my other classes. And so first week, first period, second period, and fourth period did not get any points deducted. Okay, they were great. And let me go ahead and tell you that my first, second, and fourth period, they are my Spanish 1 classes. And my second, third, my third, 5th, and 7th period are my Spanish 2 classes. So they're a little bit older. And then for my 3rd period, they had 3 points deducted. My 5th period, 4, and my 7th period, 2 points deducted. So it's interesting that the points that were deducted on week 1, which were low, they were very low, for 5 days, they were all from Spanish 2 classes. So I have upperclassmen in there. I have juniors. I have some seniors that would love Spanish 2, their Spanish 2. And so does their age play a role in that? Again, jobs. Miss Hackett, I gotta call my boss. I gotta check my phone. I gotta see my work schedule. And so that was another huge factor in it. Now, I told them if it's work related, you do that before class. By the time you get to class, you should, by the time you start your day, you should already know that. And so that's kind of just teaching them the rules of the real world, right? When you wake up, you need to know if you're working that day or not. And so having those discussions, but I was still very pleased with the amount of points that were deducted, which, that was great compared to you look at the prior week. Week 2, points went up a little bit. So first period, 5 points in total. 3 points were taken away on Friday itself. And so Friday they had a huge basketball game, and it was Spirit Week. So be playing their rival school. I mean, that's something that's really going to get them. Are you going to the game? Who's going to the game? Are you meeting up with so and so? And so I knew that was going to kind of affect the numbers. Second period, 4 points taken away. Third period, 5th. Fourth period, 8. Fifth period, 14. Which you see the number really jump. Still not as much as the prior week though, before I told them about the intervention. And then 7th period, a total of 11 points were taken away. So you see the numbers go up a little bit, losing a little bit of interest. We go to week 3, and the numbers drop a little bit. We have 3, no points taken away from first period, which was great. 3 for second period, 5 for third, 6 for fourth, 12 for fifth, and 5 points were taken away for 7th period. Again, you see the numbers consistently. It's 5th period that I have to remind them more and more. So please get off your phone. Please get off your phone. Let me remind you, this is 5 days. It's not 1 day. So it's 5 full days of class that these numbers are added up. Week 4, you see the numbers drop, which is great. We want the number to drop because that means I'm not having to remind them. I'm not catching them on their phone. So first, second, and third period, no points were taken away. Yay for third period. They're my Spanish 2 class. Fourth period, I had to take away 3 points. Fifth period, 5, and 7th period, 2. Still super, super low, and you want to take in mind that it was the last week, so you better believe I was reminding them. And so their motivation, okay, let's finish strong. Let's stay off our phones. Let's stay focused. So a lot, we see more motivation there. So the end of 4 weeks, and we have our results. Now I have 2 different charts I kind of want to go over with you all. So the first chart is the before and after. So this is the orange is pre-intervention. So before me telling them, okay? And then the red is the 4th week, so the last week. So how did those numbers vary? And so I just want to remind you, we want to see low numbers. numbers on here. We don't want the numbers to be high. First period, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. The orange is all higher, which is pre-intervention. So obviously, there's a huge difference, and you can see on this chart of the amount of times I had to tell them to stay off their phone versus the last week where they had a motivation. They were working towards an incentive, and so this to me was very positive. The outcome obviously worked, right? And so I decided to take a step forward and actually do some calculations. So I went ahead and looked at the big picture of things. So the oranges, again, is the pre-intervention. It's the points taken away for week 1. So it's actually the exact numbers as the previous chart. And then the red is the total points taken away during the intervention, which is 4 weeks. So let me remind you, the orange is just 1 week of points taken away. The red is 4 weeks of points taken away. Okay? So it's really not a fair assessment. And so really what I should have done, if there was more time, I would have done 4 weeks prior to the intervention to really get a good match of the amount of points times I had to tell them to stay off their phone. But this still gave me a good idea, and this still kind of validated my results. So I'll explain here. So we want to see the red lower than the orange, but we got to keep in mind the red, they're worth more days. They're worth 4 weeks, whereas the orange is worth 1 week. And so first period, second period, and third period are all, they're great, okay? They're absolutely amazing. As you see, 4 weeks worth compared to 1 week, I didn't have to tell them as many times to stay off their phone. So that's a positive thing. I mean, the numbers didn't lie, that's great. I don't have to argue that in any sense. Third, fifth, and seventh period, you see the red higher. And so that could be a problem, right? But again, we're comparing 1 week with 4 weeks. But still, if you see fourth period, there's not a huge difference at all. And so to me, that's a gain. That to me is a gain. If it would have doubled, that would have been a problem. But there wasn't much of a difference. Fifth period, we do see more of a difference there. And I'll go through go a little later with my results. But that's a class I really have to work on. I'm not content with those results. And as with interventions, it's never going to be 100%. That's something that I need to find another solution for. Seventh period, the difference is not that bad either. So I would consider fourth and seventh period wins. Even fifth period, because it didn't double. So I would still consider those wins, but I'm not completely happy with them, especially fifth period. I think I could maybe do something else to fix that. They need to stay off their phones, and they need to learn that it's a behavior thing. It's being able to accept the rules. So my reflection after all of this, so for more accurate results, like I said, I should have recorded a whole 4 weeks of deductions prior to the intervention. Despite that problem, the results were still positive and showed improvement overall. Fifth period still seems to be the biggest struggle out of all my classes, and I already admitted that to you all. Factors, I did go over some of the factors when we were going over the numbers and the results. Homecoming, which involved Spirit Week, so every day, it was a different theme, and everyone was dressed up, and everyone wanted to take pictures. And what do you take pictures with? Well, your phones. And so that affected it too. And we can't, as a teacher, we can't really change the schedule of things that happen, in a school. It's part of high school, right? Having all those fun events. Basketball games. So all in all, first period won the competition with the least amount of points deducted, and second period came in very close. And so what I wanted to do to kind of encourage the kids to keep this going, because like I said, the results were positive, and I was overall very happy with them. I did decide to reward second period. I am a sucker for that. So I did reward them. I gave them the movie day. I did not provide them popcorn or soft drinks. Okay, I did that with the winning team with first period, but I did let them watch the movie, which was Finding Nemo, in Spanish, of course, because we are a Spanish class. But it was a nice day for them to kind of relax, and they had worked very, very hard. Obviously staying off their phones, focused, and I think that was a reward that they deserved. And so it was great. The kids loved it. how they're feeling, their stress, their struggles. And so they loved it, and they loved the popcorn and the soft drinks. And so something that I didn't get any negative responses from my students, it was all positive. Next steps, I'm going to start my second round of interventions, this time lasting the full 6 weeks. So I'm going to take the numbers from the previous one and then do a comparison with my full 6 weeks of it to see how that works. I have some factors that I know are going to play a role. We'll discuss how we can kind of help eliminate those or prevent those. We have the mid-semester blues coming up. We always know that the couple weeks prior to spring break are always a little rough. Kids are fidgety. They're ready for a break. The weather's getting nice. They want to go outside, and so they want to be outside. They don't want to be locked up in a classroom. So that's a factor. And so looking at kind of helping each other out, find ways to eliminate